What's up, everybody? Farls back here today with a mailbag question. Can you still run the three-headed rushing attack in this game? And of course, the answer is yes. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how I do that. Today, we're in the Texas A&M playbook, but this doesn't matter what playbook because you can find these formations in almost any playbook. We're going to teach you how to fish and run the three-headed rushing attack. First things first, we look at I-form tight. We need to be able to run right, up the middle, and left. And we like when we can quickly access those plays. So I pressed L trigger earlier. I put in a fullback dive. I kept the ISO because I wanted to see if the fullback dive is better than the ISO for running up the middle. The counter is a real helper in this scheme, and then I do keep just one pass play in case we got to throw. But I'm going to come out in the halfback stretch, and we'll just call a random 3-3-5. Here you can see we got two defenders off the left edge and one off the right. We're going to run the stretch to the right here. It's pretty obvious. Now, this formation's not super balanced because you have the receiver out on the right, but we're going to cover a formation that is balanced later. So it's pretty obvious here that you just run the stretch to the right, and you're going to be able to get to the edge. You have to base your offense off of what the defense is doing. Now, what's a cool thing about this formation, once again, you would run the stretch here again, but there is a power row you could come out in if you prefer that better. I do think stretches are pretty solid in this game. This is your joker. This is your, I want to feel like I'm doing something in the game. I'm going to move him out of the way and see what happens. See if I can get the defense to react. See if I can get them to respond. Because you can motion receivers in this game and move them pretty easily, it's something nice that you can do. So let's say here we want to run the counter if we notice that the defense is going this way. We really like balance sets because I could flick the stick to the right and get my counter to go the other way. And here you can see if I flick it to the right, he runs to the right. If I flick it to the left, he runs back to the left. But you want to use this mostly to access the left side of the field, but if for whatever reason, if nobody goes with him, then yeah, we're going to move him over there. It's a free extra blocker, right? And we're going to see if we can hit the counter, keep it inside, and pick up the yardage. Now, you're really just using this to dictate off of where, things are going. Here, like the right edge, right stretch is kind of, it's not locked up, but it's a little bottled up. Maybe run it to the side where the dudes are back. Just simply flick the stick to the left. See if you can get a stretch off the edge. Pick up some rushing yards, okay? The blocking on the edge is pretty good, so you're going to have some success running to the edges of the field. Now, for an example, if it's short yardage, you could run fullback dive. This fullback dive is not the quickest. We used to really like fullback dives because they were like really quick handoffs. That's a pretty slow handoff, and most teams don't have fullbacks anymore. No more Heath Evans right up the middle. So fullback dive maybe is not the way, unless they're really spread out. But you obviously saw it a little quicker than the halfback ISO, which could allow time for a defender rushing. But if you have to run up the middle, it's really just for short yardage from where you want to go. Last but not least, of course, you could just throw a pass play, maybe bring him down one. You could keep the PA or not, check it down underneath if they're really blitzing everybody and getting somebody up in your face. But that's the key to the three-headed rushing attack is you can run all three directions. But I do want to show you it out of a balanced set just so you know. And maybe in a future video, we'll go over the read option version of this. But if we come out in pistol, right, and there's no strong close that I can find easily. So there's no strong close. That's what I like it out of originally. It's fairly balanced. But I do like it out of something like a pistol deuce. We would go over a mini scheme like this. So you have strong power, which has pulling guards. I don't know if that's exactly the move. You do have stretch. So I would probably go stretch is the installed audible. So I wouldn't come out in stretch, even though I probably run stretch a lot of the time. You got a zone weak if you need to go up the middle. Inside cross, super easy play if you wanted to just run little mesh over the middle, real short routes. And then I'm obsessed with corner routes, so I'm going to put bench in. So bench, stretch, inside cross, halfback zone weak. But let's take a look. So we'll come out in the strong power, which is, hit or miss potential. Here, you can run it to the right. You could run it to the left. Your call on what you want to do. If I was to look at this defense, it's pretty balanced against the run, so I would just run my best run, and I would probably run stretch, and I'd probably run it to the left. Or the open side of the field, and just see if I could get some yards. And there we do get good blocking off the edge. Now, you can do crazy things. You can sub in maybe a tight end out at receiver if you need the blocking, but the receivers do block well. You could put it maybe a tackle in, a tight end, if you can find a formation where that works. Here, this is pretty simple. You can either flick the right stick or you can audible, and since you're flipping the play by pressing square, R2, they pause for a second, so it's a little slower. But they don't move because they're already balanced. They don't have to switch sides, and there's no mess. So this counter gets pulling guards out there. That could make some gaps. That could maybe they don't target correctly, but that's the difference between this as the stretch, which is already installed as a play, and then coming out in a play like this. You can see it's kind of attacking the B gap there, but they got two guys stacked in the B gap. Let's see what happens if we. Yeah. We get, two guards out in front. So you have the counter out of this formation. It's balanced. It's another way to run the three-headed rushing attack. You've also got, especially maybe you have linemen who have abilities, maybe something. But this would be my set. And then you could call bench if the defense is off, or the defense, whatever you like to say. Beef them up a little bit. Maybe see if this is cover 3. Maybe throw it a little earlier, Farls. Maybe throw it a little earlier and toe tap that sideline like you're so known for. But that's what I would go with there. And, if you want to rush it up the middle, maybe we call this. You just want to find a handoff that's a fairly quick handoff. You can left stick it to different gaps in this. You're not kind of set on that path as much as you would need to be. So that's a little formation there. Let's see how this play works. As our one other pass, I would kind of recommend this inside cross because the tight ends are back off the line of scrimmage. So let's take a look and see if they get bumped into a little bit. They'll get pretty open. And that's just the simplest read there is. Tom Brady made an entire career out of throwing short to the tight ends or slots right across the middle of the field. It's right in front of your face. You can't miss it. I recommend it. It's easy. You got outs. You got crossers. You've got this set. So that's something that I'm into. The last thing is I really do like this route right here. So go up to the gun, and ace is another, fairly balanced set, right? You could run quarterback zone off the right edge. You could run QB blast up the middle. You could run the power read to the left if you had a mobile quarterback. So those are some things you could do. So once again, that'd be zone off the right edge, blast up the middle, and read. Read option. You could cut it out left if you handed it off, or you could keep it with the quarterback, or you could run power read to the left. But this inside cross style route, just is one other bonus route. No one asked, but let me see if something I was doing earlier in the year was basically smart route this down a tiny bit. See how it moves in the more you... This is a really weird stem, right? Look at it move. Instead of moving up and down, it kind of moves in. I think that's pretty neat. I've never noticed that. I usually... Let's try that. And then I send him in. He's not on the line. So he gets going. And you can kind of cut it off. So what I find interesting about this route, which, obviously just didn't have the most success, but it's a neat little route because it's one of the only routes in the game where your receiver's going to run vertically through the middle of the defense. Like a tight end would do that, but this is sort of delayed. And it's weird to user. Most of the time if you're usering left and right. If you see this guy just kind of running through your defense vertically, and it's a little weird, maybe. The other time I like to use it is 3rd and 22. If I can't throw an out, I would throw an out right here all day. But if you didn't have an out, you could throw it in front of the deep safety and kind of curl it in, and you do that by kind of making it a little bit shorter. Now, this is a route you need to block extra protection for. This is like a 3rd and long bonus play. It's what do I do? I lost 3 yards on first down, or it's the end of the half and I'm at the 30-yard line. Can I throw one to the end zone? just a little route that I keep in the back of my mind. I use outs. I use that type of route. I motion snap them. It's an interesting route. Should beat press. Just one other thing that you can do here. So, first mailbag question was, is the three-headed rushing attack alive? Yes, 100%. Definitely find those balanced sets and find those runs like counters that are going to, help you get to the other side of the formation. You can also find QB runs like zones, like blast, and let's call two of these, and we'll come out in the power read so you can just see it. But that's teaching you how to fish. You should be able to find this in a lot of playbooks and go from there. So let's see. We would take that to the left. Let's see about taking the blast up the middle. Let's see how quick the blast is. Sometimes runs up the middle like QB draws, like they're too delayed. Like that's pretty quick. Like you're getting 2-3 yards there as long as you're getting a push. And then let's try a zone off the right edge. This wouldn't be the... I would probably run blast here. I don't think this is exactly a zone with two guys right off that edge. Can I flick it? No, I'd have to do this. They're going to adapt. But this would be how I would get to the right. And let's see if it's quick. And how good is the seal? Yeah, not bad. Running with your QB, he's going to get a little wear and tear. It's going to take some hits. But if you have a fast backup, you could do a mini scheme out of this. But that's the three-headed rushing attack. For those of you that don't know, for those of you that were looking for it, there it is. If you have mailbag questions, leave them under here. Send them to me wherever, and we'll try and get to them. But little Texas A&M mini scheme, and hopefully you have a good one. I'll talk to you in the next video. Until then, lock up.